From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
American Door Company has been family owned and operated for over 29 years, supplying Northern California with quality garage doors, garage door openers, and installed with the best service you'd expect from a locally owned company. We serve all of Northern California from Willows all the way up to the Oregon state line. Give us a call today.
Happy Friday morning to you all. Friday is almost here. Well, Friday is here, right? The weekend is almost here. Thunderstorms are pretty much going to be the main things that we're going to be talking about here for at least the next 48 hours or so. After that, things are going to start to kind of quiet down a bit. There's been a storm system that's been kind of parked off the coast that's been giving us this unsettled weather we've seen all week long. And it's finally going to push through, and we're really going to start to feel the impacts of it. So we are also looking at snow levels eventually dropping on Sunday as another storm system comes in from the Pacific Northwest, or should I say from the Gulf of Alaska, and that'll help to drop the snow levels as well. And then dry and mild through most of next week. So a lot to talk about. So let's get you into it. First and foremost, let's take a look at today. The clouds will be on the increase this afternoon in the valley. Could even see some lightning strikes late in the afternoon, into the evening and overnight hours. For Siskiyou and Modoc County, it's going to be late in the day. Probably around late afternoon, early evening, we start to see better chances for showers, maybe some thunderstorms. For the eastern mountains, places like Susanville, Quincy to the south, yeah, you could be looking at some thunderstorms this afternoon, but places like Alturas, for example, Modoc County, probably holding off until tonight and tomorrow as far as any showers and thunderstorms are concerned. Again, we'll take a look at Futurecast here in a second. There's the North Coast, kind of the same situation. I do think that we'll see later in the afternoon showers and thunderstorms beginning to pop up, a possibility for thunderstorms, mainly there's some showers. Inland, it looks like you're going to be looking at late in the day, probably sometime around mid-afternoon, some showers and thunderstorms. And Trinity County, kind of the same time frame as well. It's really Modoc County that there's a chance you may make it through the day without seeing a drop of rain. But again, by this evening tonight, that may change. All right, so this is the area of low pressure right here spinning away. You can clearly see it. This is the same storm system I've been talking about all week long. So what's going to happen is this area of low pressure, it's a closed off upper area of low. This is going to eventually just kind of what we call open up. It's going to become just kind of more of a trough and a disturbance, but all of this is moving in our direction today. This is our chance for showers and thunderstorms today. But look off over the Pacific. We have a trough of low pressure right here. This storm system is eventually going to move down and impact us by the time we get into Saturday night, and even early Sunday morning. Once this passes, then things begin to really quiet down. Now, we look at the severe outlook, and this is coming in from the Storm Prediction Center out of Norman, Oklahoma. Now, what it's painting in here is the best chance for thunderstorms south. Again, what this is really illustrating is that doesn't mean we're not going to see any activity up here. But what it's saying is it's going to take later in the day before we really start seeing that potential for thunderstorms popping up. And again, this is not illustrating just the showers that we could see. This is just saying that the level of instability is not really necessarily high enough for there to be widespread thunderstorms. However, you look at tomorrow, Saturday, now we've got a better chance for widespread thunderstorms. Basically, everyone in Northern California has a chance for showers and thunderstorms in the forecast for your Saturday. Things could get quite active. And with some of these thunderstorms, you're talking about the potential for heavy downpours. You're talking about maybe some hail and accumulating hail, and not to mention some frequent lightning and gusty winds. So it could get interesting on Saturday. Certainly something we'll be watching here and, as we go through the weekend. All right, so let's take a look at Futurecast. What we're going to do here is this is what we call the HRRR forecast. And what this does, it updates every hour. So this is the latest data coming in this morning. And you can see by noon, we're still quiet. I don't think any of us are really going to see any rain at this point. We may begin to see a little bit of activity down to the south, but for the most part, we're starting the day off with dry conditions and increasing clouds throughout the morning. Now we take you into the afternoon. This is 3 p.m. You see how we're seeing a little bit of activity begin to develop down to our south. We're maybe seeing some activity off to the west and maybe a little bit of activity off into eastern portions of Shasta County. But once again, nothing very widespread at this point. Now we go into about 5, 6 o'clock this afternoon and evening. Now we're beginning to see it get a little bit more widespread. Now, again, you can see it's kind of isolated. So some of us may make it through with just a passing sprinkle or a light shower, whereas others may see thunderstorms. So you can see the thunderstorms off to the east. You can see some of the showers. These could be thunderstorms as well. It's not out of the question for Redding or Red Bluff by 6 o'clock this evening to maybe see a shower or thunderstorm as well. So you get the idea. It's going to take a while to develop. It's going to be one of those days where you're just going to be sitting and waiting and go, where are those thunderstorms Mike was talking about? Well, some of you may not even experience any thunderstorms today, but others, that may be a bit of a different story. It just depends on where you are. But again, remember I was mentioning that I think Modoc County is going to hold off until maybe tonight or into tomorrow. Now we're going into a different forecast model. This one tends to be a little overly aggressive on the intensity. As you can kind of see here when I transition, this is all much more intense. But kind of the same footprint, right? We're still seeing the scattered thunderstorms here, just not much going on in Modoc County at this point. Now, I'm going to take you into later on this evening and tonight. Here's 10 o'clock tonight. You see how we're beginning to see more rain. And again, this might be overdoing it, but I do think that there's going to be a chance for rain. And I know a lot of people maybe have plans to maybe go check out the lights. Well, you know, I think you might be dealing with a little bit of rainfall. And the thing is, too, there could be some embedded thunderstorms in there as well. Now let's take you into the overnight hours into tomorrow morning. Here's tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. You see how we have kind of a little swath of moisture down here? This will eventually be working its way up. But you'll notice, even as we go into the morning hours, we're still seeing a chance for showers. Now, thunderstorms, highly unlikely, but if you hear some rumbles of thunder tomorrow morning, don't be surprised. Okay, now we're going to take you into around the noon hour on Saturday. Now, we're beginning to see that area of low pressure I was talking about that's been kind of sitting and spinning off towards south and west. It's now beginning to show signs of kind of exiting the region at this point. So at noon, we're going to see kind of an area where we're seeing most of the precipitation off to the east of the valley, some heavier rainfall here. You'll also notice some snow, but that's still above 6,000 feet, by the way. Snow is not a major concern as far as travel is concerned at this point. But what I've got my eyes on, and we're going to look at right up here. Remember I was showing you that system over the Gulf of Alaska. Well, that is now beginning to enter the region as we go into Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. So we begin to see things begin to light up again with a chance for more showers and even some thunderstorms. Now, this is a cold front. There's some colder air associated with this. So as it pushes on through as we go into Saturday night, we're seeing that main cold front now right over here. So behind that is where the colder air is. So this is when snow levels could drop to, I'm anticipating as low as 4,000 feet. Alturas, Calpines, you might see some light accumulating snow. Mount Shasta City, borderline to see snowflakes. But this is when we're going to have to start thinking about, okay, some of the higher mountain passes, right? Maybe higher mountain passes on I-5, maybe a higher mountain pass like Cedar Pass. So we could be looking at some of that potential for some of those higher mountain passes with some accumulating snow. So if you're going to be traveling Saturday night or Sunday morning, be sure to check the latest road conditions. Go to Caltrans, go to the Quick Map, and check to see what's going on, if there are any chain requirements. Because if we do see any chain requirements, I'm expecting kind of in northern Siskiyou County, and not to mention even parts towards near Alturas, Cedar Pass, for example. But you'll notice by Sunday morning, it is gone. The rain and snow at this point is gone. And I'm expecting dry conditions to kind of prevail after that. All right, so let's talk about forecasted rainfall totals. So with these thunderstorms, we could talk about some heavy downpours. So some areas could possibly see upwards of 1 inch of rain. Quite honestly, I think that might be pushing it to see that much rainfall, but there are going to be some pockets around the area that could see some really good amounts of rainfall. Is flooding going to be a concern? At this point, I'd say no, but it certainly is something you got to keep an eye on. Now, taking a look at the snow, we're really, again, this is the Warner Mountains. You've got Lassen Park, right? You got Lassen Peak, so some of the higher elevations. This is the mountain, Mount Shasta the mountain, right? And then, of course, you've got some of the higher elevations in the Marble Mountains, and not to mention the Trinity Alps. So this is where we're going to see kind of that concentration of snow. But as I mentioned, down to about 4,000 feet as we go into Saturday night and into Sunday morning, we could be looking at the potential on Highway 97, on I-5, and not to mention on Cedar Pass there. Again, mainly above 4,000 feet where you start seeing that potential for chain requirements and issues there. So again, be aware of that as we go into Saturday night and Sunday morning. All right, now let's take a look at the long range. All the way through Wednesday, I'm expecting mainly dry conditions. However, look at this, by 5 p.m., we're beginning to see this cold front right here kind of approach. This is the day before Thanksgiving. I don't anticipate this to be a problem, but if you are traveling northward through the day on Wednesday, be prepared for the fact that you may be dealing with a little bit of wet weather, but shouldn't be that much of a concern. This is a very weak system that's passing through. And you can see on Thursday through the day, it may pass and just clip northeastern portions of Modoc County. So could we see some snowflakes around the Alturas area? Not entirely out of the question on Thanksgiving Day, but that's something that we'll have to kind of keep watching here as we take it through the week. But then you'll notice for Friday and Saturday, so a day and even 2 days after Thanksgiving, you're in good shape when it comes to any travel that you may be dealing with here as you're heading from Seattle all the way down to Southern California. And of course, not to mention off to the east if you're traveling eastward as well. So yeah, it looks like we're going to be in pretty good shape as far as any travel is concerned for your Thanksgiving week. All right, so here are your wave heights for today. You see how they are actually beginning to show signs of increasing again because, again, we have that approaching storm system, and that's going to kind of churn things up here in the ocean. Here's a marine forecast for today. Northeast winds at 5 knots, waves from the northwest at 5 feet at 11 seconds, and of course, looking at that chance for rain, maybe even a few isolated thunderstorms out there as well. So today, okay, this looks really bad, right? You're looking at all this and you're seeing a ton of lightning strikes. Again, what this is illustrating is that all of these areas have at least a chance for some lightning strikes. Otherwise, scattered showers coming in late in the day. Keep in mind, it's dry all morning long. And it's dry really even for the first half of the afternoon for many of us. It's late this afternoon and evening that we're going to start to see some of this activity here. And notice I don't have really anything for Modoc County because, again, it's not until tonight and into tomorrow that we may see some of that activity. This is why, and again, this is why it's so important to have a resource like Weather NorCal. Because what I'm able to offer you is looking at something like this and go, wow, look at this. Look how bad the thunderstorms are, right? Not necessarily. Again, we've got to just kind of take this all with a grain of salt and go, okay, what's the explanation? What's the story behind all of this? And this is something that I can offer up for you. Chance for thunderstorms from Mount Shasta, but again, late in the day. You're going to be dry most of the day. So if you have plans, you're okay for the first half of the day. But keep in mind, later in the day, later in the afternoon and evening, you got thunderstorms, right? Alturas, you're probably dry for the most part, but maybe later tonight. And then Saturday's the day, I think, we'll be looking at more widespread thunderstorms. And Saturday is also the day I think we're going to see heavier rainfall associated with those showers and thunderstorms passing through. But after Saturday, looks good. If you have any plans to travel at all next week, the only day you've got to watch actually is Thanksgiving Day, especially up towards Modoc County where we could possibly see some of that snow. Otherwise, you're in pretty good shape. All right, so for the valley, once again, it's the first half of the day that it's dry. Late in the afternoon, we begin to see more showers and thunderstorms. But of course, I'll have more updates for you at noon and later on this evening as well. And then Saturday again is the bigger event, is the main event for showers and thunderstorms. Then on Sunday, it dries out, and we dry things out for the valley all the way through Thanksgiving and even Friday and Saturday of that, the 2 days after Thanksgiving. Here's your 7-day outlook for the coast. Once again, it's going to be late in the day that we see the showers and thunderstorms today. Better chances going into Saturday, and then it dries out for Sunday and should, for the most part, stay dry. You saw that on Wednesday that there may be a system that could possibly clip the coast on Wednesday, but I don't think it should create any problems. It looks fairly weak at this point.